Hello and welcome to the Social Security Show. I am your host, Daniel Summers, Public Affairs Specialist from the Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana areas. And guess what? I'm not the only host you have on the fantastic show we have for you today. There's yet another public affairs specialist who runs around telling people about Social Security. But before she tells you about that, how about she tells you who she is and a little bit about herself? Josephine?
Thank you, Daniel Summer. My name is Josephine Mueller, and yes, I am also a public affairs specialist. I work out of the Chicagoland area, and we are so excited to be with you all today here because we have such an exciting, great show for you with lots of information. We're going to talk to you all about how Social Security is with you throughout life's journey.
We sure will, Josephine. And throughout life's journey means beginning from birth. But you know what? As we move along through our presentation, you'll see that progression that we take. And we start at the beginning and we move right along from birth to work to hopefully not some things, but then retirement. So you get to see the whole 360 degrees of what Social Security does from you from the beginning. So let's just move on. But first, of course, there's that disclaimer that you're so famous for, Josephine, if you don't mind.
Yes, participation in this presentation does not constitute an endorsement by the Social Security Administration or its employees of the organizations and information and products not provided by the Social Security Administration.
Truth in the making. And you know what? We want people to follow us on social media. We want people to do lots of things and understand that Social Security is with you through life's journey onward. So don't forget about our Facebook, our YouTube, and every other outlet that we have. We've got Instagram too. So we are there for you, but we are there on social media. But just before we are there, we want to tell you what we're doing. And we want to know what's new, Josephine, for 2020. What are we doing in 2021?
Yes, there are some new changes in 2021, and these are those changes. The amount of earnings that will have no effect on eligibility or benefits for SSI beneficiaries who are students is $7,770 per year. The amount of earnings that we can exclude each month until we have excluded the maximum for the year is $1,930 per month. This is for SSI, Supplemental Security Income. This is the needs-based program. And the monthly Medicare Part A hospital insurance base premium for less than 30 credits is $471 per month. So if you are an individual who's eligible for Medicare Part A and you have less than 30 credits, you'd be paying $471 per month in this year, 2021. The Medicare Part B supplemental medical insurance monthly base premium is $148.50 per month this year. Some people with higher incomes will pay higher amounts, but this year in 2021, that Medicare Part B premium is $148.50 per month. And we now offer the option to advance designate a representative payee. Advanced designation allows you to designate up to 3 individuals who could serve as a representative payee for you if the need ever arises. So a representative payee is an individual who helps you with your Social Security benefit. They help you with paying for your food, shelter, and clothing if you are unable to handle your benefit on your own.
Very, very interesting and important information. Thank you for that update. But now that we're talking about being with you through life's journey, let's talk about life's journey and life expectancy. Wow. You know, when Social Security began in 1935 with the Social Security Act of 1935, the life expectancy for a man was 59 years of age. But let's look at what's changed and how much longer life's journey might be now. 59 at that time. But now a man turning age 65 in April of 2020 can expect to live until age 84. That's a bit of a difference, isn't it, Josephine? And a woman who in 1935, the life expectancy would have been 63 years of age. But now a woman turning 65, April 2020, can expect to live until, get this, 86 years of age. So Social Security which was just put into place for the purpose of ensuring that people have a sustainable income throughout their lives, lasts a longer time, obviously now. So it's more important than ever because people are living longer. And look at that. Those are just averages, because 1 in every 3 65-year-olds will live at least to age 90, and 1 in 7 will be at least to age 95. And guess what? I was telling you before about my relative, Josephine, that lived to 104, and he was healthy without missing a beat to the end. So it does happen. For more information, look at ssa.gov and our population and longevity information. It's very interesting. So let's talk about day one, Josephine. Looks like there's a stork who's visited someone. And day one, how soon does Social Security get involved and how?
That's a great question. And this is a beautiful picture, a beautiful illustration of, what a great celebration when we're born. Our family's happy, celebrating, we're all happy. And, Social Security is with you because when you're born, you receive your Social Security number, and your parents fill out an application for you at the hospital, or they fill it out afterwards at a Social Security office. And when they fill out this application with your name, your information, then you receive a Social Security number. So we're with you from day one.
Wow, that's interesting. Right there in the hospital, huh?
Yeah, so it's a pretty quick process, and the hospital many times will go ahead and take the application right from you, and then you'll receive your card in the mail within 5 to 10 business days. Now, your 9-digit Social Security number is your first and continuous connection with Social Security. It helps us identify and accurately record your covered wages or self-employment earnings. We also use it to monitor your record once you start to receive benefits.
So since we're on the subject of Social Security cards, let me ask you a Social Security card question. Josephine, this one comes in the form of the ones that I always get. Dear Mr. Social Security. And this one states this: I lost my card during a move from Texas to Arizona. I have no idea where to find and need another. How much does a new Social Security card cost?
That is an excellent question. So, many times when we are moving or we are looking for something in our house, normally those things, we put them in a safe and secure spot. I know with my Social Security card, I put it in a safe and a secure spot. And sometimes it's so safe and so secure, I can't even remember where I put it. So I can completely understand this individual here who is moving from Texas to Arizona. They may not know exactly where their card is, but that's okay. You can request a replacement Social Security card. And guess what? There is no charge for that. So it's free. All you have to do is complete the application. We have the form online, so you can visit our website at socialsecurity.gov. You can pull up the application form. You can go ahead and complete it, and then you send us your identity documents. You can do that sending it via mail. Now, though, we have an even more convenient way to request a replacement Social Security card. If you go online to socialsecurity.gov and you click on create my Social Security account. If you create a my Social Security account, you can request your replacement Social Security card right online in the comfort of your own home, and it'll come to you in about 5 to 10 business days, and it is free. So if you see that someone is, you're on a site where they're requesting payment for a replacement Social Security card, or somebody calls you over the phone saying they'll process this transaction for you for some payment, please know that that's a red flag. We don't charge you for a replacement Social Security card. So please do not pay for a Social Security card ever.
Absolutely. Finally, something I can afford. And one last note about that, Josephine, when people send in to this place with I saw one for $35, they send them back the application, which is free online, or was at one time when we're open, it's available in our offices. And often They request your social security number and date of birth, and you're giving that to someone who you have no idea who they are. The only thing you know is they're not social security, which is dangerous in and of itself because you're opening yourself up to fraud and ID theft and people selling your number, getting credit in your number, trying to change your bank accounts. You don't want the mess about that. They can't issue you a real social security card anyway. They'll take your $35 and give you something that's nothing for it. And then you're opened up to all kind of fraud. I'd say just be happy because the price is right at zero. You don't have to pay. And you're not in danger when you give that information to us because we've already got it.
You're so right about that, Mr. Summer. And you brought up such a great point because the price is going to be a lot higher than those $35 if you provide your personal identifying information to someone over the phone or online if they are not Social Security, because they can potentially use your information for other types of things like opening up lines of credit, doing fraud with your number. So the cost is much higher.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. I'm glad for that.
Yes. And now I have a question for you, Mr. Summer. So this one right here goes like this. I would like to laminate my Social Security card, but it says not to on your website. If I'm going to keep my card for life, why can't I protect it like my other documents? I've already washed it once and it no longer looks new. And I like my documents to look new. And I have this fancy laminating machine at home that I want to be able to use. So why can't I laminate my Social Security card, Mr. Summer?
Well, we tell you to keep it and we don't want you to get too many. So it seems like that would be a good idea. And even though this person washed it, trust me, I washed mine. It's clean, but it doesn't look new anymore. But there's a reason why Social Security cards shouldn't be laminated. You know, the Social Security card is such an important document for your identity, and it's connected to your records, for your medical, for your employment. That's how we know how much to pay you. And many other things utilize the Social Security number. So having a real live Social Security card is important. Now, we say not to laminate it because, well, we can't check its authenticity. Lots of places won't accept it if it's laminated. Now, some will, but it's a lot easier to commit fraud with copies and things that are laminated where you can't actually touch the paper or see the details. So laminating a card actually kind of invalidates it. Now, I'm not saying that some places won't take them. They will, but they can and reserve the right to refuse it, even if it's your real Social Security card, because it's laminated. Not all Social Security cards look alike. There have been several eras in which the cards were made differently. And so to be able to do a little discernment, that card needs to be in its original form. Just like there are times when people want to see a certified document with that seal that you can feel on it, we want to be able to look at that card, because at Social Security, when we look at IDs and documents, we have all kinds of methods to determine what's right and what's not right, what's authentic and what's not, what's a photocopy and what's real. We look at things under black lights. We look at many, many factors to determine authenticity. And when you laminate your card, you take away the ability for someone receiving that card to determine whether or not it's legitimate or not. Josephine?
That's great information. So that means I should not laminate my card. So I will not laminate my card because I want to have the original document with me. So that way, when I present it, there's no question that it is not a legitimate, authentic document. But how about this, Mr. Summer? I've seen people with some of those fancy metal Social Security cards. They look super cool, and I think those probably would last forever, a lifetime. How about those? Are those legitimate documents that Social Security accepts?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. They may last forever, probably longer than the person who holds it, but the bad news is they're not real Social Security cards at all. There were several companies, like insurance companies, life insurance companies, et cetera, in the 1960s and 70s, and I think also the 80s, that would make a Social Security card for you free as a way of them advertising themselves. I've had people bring those in to me thinking it was a Social Security card to my desk. And they dropped it on the desk and it makes that same little tinfoil metal sound. And it's like, here's my Social Security card. Well, guess what? Only the Social Security Administration issues Social Security cards. And of all the iterations and different types of Social Security cards that we have issued over the decades since the 1930s, there are ones that look different and they look one way in one era, then a few years later it's different. But of all of those cards, we've never, ever, ever issued a single metal one. Those aren't real Social Security cards, and people don't have to accept them. They're novelty.
That's great to know that the original Social Security card is a paper card. And that means that if it's laminated or you see a fancy, very cool looking metal one, those are not legitimate Social Security cards. So great information. Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Summer.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. Now, we've gone from birth now, but then the growing pains that that little baby finds is the next stage is not getting burped or having his diaper changed. The next time he's likely to use that Social Security card, besides when he's enrolling in school, right, will be when he starts work. So tell us a little bit about that. What has Social Security got to do with me getting a job?
Yes, that's a great question. Social Security is with you when you go to work. And who exactly pays for Social Security? Well, I'm going to tell you, I have a little story here that when I first started working as a teenager, I was 15 and I calculated my check to be a certain amount. And I was like, hold on, why is my check not what I calculated it to be? I know I'm not an A student in math, but I definitely think I got this calculation right because I was looking forward to buying a new set of clothes and a few new shoes. So this was FICA that was making sure that I had money, then I'm putting it into taxes and their FICA taxes. And I'm like, who is FICA? And my mom's like, well, FICA is a tax that you're paying into because eventually when you retire or if something were to happen and you were to become disabled, you can draw benefits from Social Security. So what exactly does FICA stand for? Well, FICA stands for Federal Insurance Contributions Act. It may show on your paycheck as OASDI or Social Security. It's federal payroll tax deducted from workers' paychecks matched by an employer and reported by the employer to the IRS. Total FICA tax equals 15.3% of your gross wages. You and your employer each pay 7.65%. 6.2% goes to Social Security and 1.45% goes to Medicare. FICA taxes help fund Social Security retirement, disability, survivor's benefits, and Medicare health insurance. So at the time when I was 15, I may not have appreciated FICA so much, but now that I'm a little bit older, and of course, you know, we will all eventually approach that age of retirement, you gain a greater appreciation for it. So I absolutely have a greater appreciation for it. And that is how Social Security is with you when you start working because you're contributing into FICA.
Interesting. And everybody knows, Josephine, that when you are 16 and you're working, it is more than 100 years away that you are in your 60s, right?
Yes, that is so true.
Years old. All right. So
yes,
that was interesting information. And at least your mom knew. My supervisor at my job, which I was working for that shiny red convertible, and I mispronounced it. I said FICA. And they didn't know at my job. So I guess we've got a good job now to educate people about what FICA and Social Security is all about.
Absolutely. And if you're watching this show here today, then you are getting a little bit of information in regards to what exactly FICA is and how Social Security is with you throughout life's journey. And, you know, it's never too early to start planning. So it's a great show for people of all ages to watch. But I have a question for you here, Mr. Summer, and it's in regards to FICA tax. I keep hearing that I can take the same money from FICA and do better in the stock market. Why won't Social Security let me invest my own money and only get Social Security if I want it?
Okay, very interesting question. But you know what, Josephine? I bet that that person that's telling them that you can do better in the stock market with the same money is like a guy who wants them to invest the money with him. Let me explain a little bit about this and why Social Security works as it does. Now, people always talk about the stock market. You can become a millionaire, but you can also lose your shirt. And why won't Social Security let you invest your own money? Well, guess what? Social Security happening in 1935, and we all know that's the era of the Great Depression, right? Had a singular purpose, and that was to ensure as people um, age and they are not working anymore, or they're disabled or widowed or orphaned, that they had enough money for the basics, a guaranteed social safety net for Americans. Good thing. Not just something that you can say, I'll invest this here or invest this there, but something that was guaranteed to see you through what they called federal old age or tragedy. So it began as saying, we're going to have more or less this insurance a little bit like a forced savings. And so right off the top of your gross wages, for your own good, right? A percentage was put away. But here's what the stock market won't do for you, even if you were to do it. Remember that part that Josephine told you about where your employer contributes an equal amount? Well, guess what? That's for you. So the good part about it is nobody's going to give you money to invest equal to what you're investing. And also, there's no guarantee in the stock market that you're going to become a millionaire or a winner. And that return, which they might say, you can get more than this from the same money, but is it guaranteed? There are ups and downs. And we want you to know that Social Security wasn't designed to be up and down. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. It's a constant. And for 85 years, since 1935, we haven't missed a beat. So that's a pretty consistent stock that I would bet on. What do you think, Josephine?
Absolutely. Social Security is here for you throughout life's journey, securing today and tomorrow. So that is great information, great news, and great clarification on why it's, not necessarily better to invest this in the stock market. And as you're working, you're contributing to FICA, which is very secure. We're securing today and tomorrow for everyone.
It's a guarantee for the better part of 100 years. Great. Now, let's talk about this though. A retirement question. Sneaked that in there because it's got something to do with work. Maybe the person who's working suddenly doesn't like their boss and they're thinking about retirement. But nevertheless, let's have a look at this question. All right, for you, Josephine. I am self-employed and pay my income taxes every year. So I still get Social Security, right?
That is a great question because there's different taxes that we all pay. We pay sales tax, we pay, our, taxes at home. We pay all kinds of different taxes, and income tax is a tax that we pay, but it's not necessarily paying into FICA. So if you are a self-employed individual, it's important that you talk to your tax preparer or your accountant and you let them know that you want to make sure that you're paying into FICA taxes, because in order to be eligible for Social Security benefits, you need to have paid into FICA in order to have contributed and be able to receive from it later on. The minimum that somebody needs to work and pay into Social Security is 10 years, about 10 years of work. So you would have had to pay into Social Security for about 10 years. But if you're paying income taxes, that's very different from paying into Social Security FICA taxes. Do you have anything to add to that, Mr. Summer?
Oh, for sure. And you hit the nail right on the head. But I want to be very specific because I've seen a lot of people come into my office thinking that, hey, I paid my income taxes, I'm funding Social Security. But your good friends at the IRS are taxing your income. But you were talking about FICA tax, and it had a specific name, Federal Income Contributions Act, and it's distinct from income taxes. just like other taxes are distinct and they have particular purposes. For instance, I might pay my state taxes and my federal taxes all day, but if I don't pay the property tax on my house, they'll come get it, right? The same principle applies to Social Security. You may pay taxes on your wages all day, but if you don't pay into FICA, then you haven't paid into Social Security. Paying my electric bill does not mean my water stays on, right, Josephine? So here's what's important for a self-employed person like the individual who posed this question. Remember, when we said that your employer matches that amount that you pay off of your wages, the percentage, well, if you're self-employed, you're both your employer and your employee. So you have to make sure that you're not only paying your income taxes, but you're paying both the employer portion of FICA tax and the employee portion of FICA tax. Because I've seen a few people, sometimes think like, I just won't pay this tax, or I say I'm not making much, and they get a nasty surprise when it's retirement time. It's a lot less than they thought, or they become disabled and they're not eligible because they haven't paid FICA taxes sufficient to qualify them. So great question. I like it. We'll move on though, because here's the fun stuff, Josephine. Now, I'm keeping track of this. That baby was born, he's gone to work, and now guess what? Having a great job has snagged them their dream mate, right? So it's time for the wedding. You can tell us about this.
Yes, absolutely. And a beautiful wedding it is, with a beautiful picture illustrating a beautiful wedding here. And Social Security is with you throughout life's journey. We're there for you for your wedding. And let me tell you how. So just as there's benefits for individuals who retire, there's retirement benefits, there's also spousal benefits. And this right here is a slide that talks about it. So maximum benefit equals 50% of the worker's unreduced benefit. Reduction, there is a reduction for early retirement. If the spouse's own benefit is less than 50% of the workers, they will be combined to equal to 50% of the worker's benefit. And it does not reduce payment to the worker. Benefit is unreduced if the spouse is caring for a worker's younger child, a child that's younger than age 16 or disabled, and a spouse's benefit is not payable until the worker collects. Now, there's a lot of information on this slide, and I like to give an example with 3 different scenarios to clarify the information on this slide. So in this example, I'm going to give you 3 different scenarios, and I'm going to use myself in this example. So say I am full retirement age at age 66, and my spouse is also full retirement age at age 66. And my spouse starts to collect Social Security retirement benefits. And let's just say that my spouse's benefit is $2,000 a month. Now, my spouse collects benefits, and he is drawing right now, he's 66. And so when he has that application taken, Social Security is going to ask, well, are you currently married? They're going to ask for information. And of course, my spouse is going to say, yes, I'm married. And so he's going to say, I'm married to Josephine Mueller, and they're going to get my information. And then they're probably going to contact me because I will also be eligible for spousal benefits. Now, let's say that I did not work very much outside of the household. I primarily was a homemaker. So I would be eligible for half of my spouse's benefit, even though I'm not eligible for any benefits on my own record. Because I am currently married and my spouse is receiving $2,000 a month, I would be eligible for half of it, which would be $1,000 a month. So in this first scenario, I'm eligible for $1,000 a month off of my spouse's record. Now, my spouse might say, hold on a second. Josephine's going to be receiving $1,000 off of my record. Is that going to make my $2,000 a month less? Am I going to receive less money because you're drawing off of my record? Wife, I love you, but I don't know if I want my money being reduced every month. Well, the answer to Mr. Mueller would be his benefit will stay the same. I will be collecting $1,000, but I won't be taking anything away from his monthly benefit. And he'll continue to receive $2,000 a month, because when we work and we pay into Social Security, we're not only paying for ourselves, we're paying for a family. So he will continue to receive the amount that he would have received normally. So that's the first scenario. second scenario is where we're going to keep my spouse at $2,000 a month. But let's say in the second scenario, I worked some, not a lot, some. So I work part-time and I have benefits. I'm eligible for benefits off of my own record, and I'm eligible for $500 off of my own record. Now, I'm collecting $500 off of my own record. My spouse is eligible for $2,000 off of his record, and he's collecting $2,000 per month. We're both full retirement age. We're both 66. So that then his half of his would be 1,000. So I'm eligible for the remaining 500 because I'm already collecting 500. Social Security is going to bump me up, give me another 500 off of my spouse's record to put me at that 1,000, to put me at the half that he is receiving, his half. So 2,000, I get half, I get 500 to boost me up to that $1,000 a month. That's the second scenario. The third scenario, let's say in this third scenario, I was the high earner and I'm eligible for $3,000 a month off of my own record. And let's say my spouse, he's still receiving $2,000 per month, full retirement age. I'm full retirement age. I'm eligible for $3,000 a month. In this third scenario, my benefit is higher than half of his. Half of his is 1,000. I'm eligible for $3,000 a month. I'm significantly over the half. So in this third scenario, I'm not eligible for any spousal benefits. And essentially, this is how spousal benefits works.
Interesting. Now, if spousal benefits work that way, guess what? That's got to be the quickest marriage ever because it lasted one slide. Because I need you to tell me a little bit about divorced spouses because there's often a lot of confusion because the rules get muddied between people who come in and think that the same rule applies for some people versus others. But divorced spouses and spouses have a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences. So I'd like for you to tell us just a bit more about when the wedding's over and the honeymoon's done and the lawyers have been summoned and the judge has got a document to sign. Let's find about benefits for divorced spouses, Josephine.
Sounds great. Let's talk about divorced spouses' benefits. Just as there's benefits for retirement, just as there's spouses' benefits, there's also benefits for divorced spouses. And in the slide previously to this slide, we mentioned that, my spouse and I, we were currently married and I was drawing benefits off of his record, but he had to have applied first in order for me to be eligible to draw benefits off of his record. As a spouse, as a currently married spouse, your spouse has to draw benefits in order for you to be able to draw off of their record. In a situation where a person is a divorced spouse, the ex-spouse does not have to be collecting Social Security benefits in order for you to be able to collect and draw benefits off of their record. What they have to be is age 62, at least age 62 or older in order for you to collect off of their record. But another thing that has to also be in place is that you must be able to prove that the marriage lasted at least 10 years or more, and you have to be married. If you are age 62 years or older, you're able to collect, and your ex-spouse is at least 62 and eligible for Social Security retirement or disability benefits, even if they're not collecting. And keep in mind, your benefit has to be less than half of their benefit in order for you to be eligible. So it works similar in the way that we talked about spouses benefits earlier. But Mr. Summer, I have a question for you because I know we talked about the 10-year mark that you'd have to at least be married 10 years or more. What happens if I married 9 years and 364 days?
Oh, I would have said if you could have only stuck it out for one more day, because it's an all or nothing proposition, Josephine. And I can't tell you that the one case that comes to mind is there was a very acrimonious divorce between a couple that I processed the case for the wife for. And she believed that she'd been married 10 years. But his attorneys had drawn up the papers and submitted them in such time that it was 1 day short of the 10-year marriage, and she was not eligible to draw a benefit on him at all. Even though all these years until that time she'd been expecting them, that was like a long playing revenge thing. Social Security doesn't get involved in vindictiveness and so on, and the acrimony between a couple. And that's the real reason why you might have to wait until your spouse files if you're still married. But we don't want to give your ex spouse control over it, because what if or what if they say, well, I'm not going to file because I know they'll draw off of me and I'm going to make them wait. So that's removed. Social Security is a complex system with lots and lots of rules, but they're all designed to make things run more smoothly and to be fair to people. So I want you to remember that it has to be 10 years. Whether or not that person is married for 5 years with you, gets angry at you, marries you again, though, for 3 more years, okay, that's 8. If you get divorced again, if you get married again and it lasts 2 years and divorced again, you've made the 10 years. It doesn't have to be consecutive, but it has to be a full 10 years. There are no exceptions. There's no partial payment you can receive. You need a marriage that lasts the duration of marriage requirement, and that is precisely 10 years or more. Great question, great point you were making. But now that you've made a point, I'd like to ask you a question. Because there's something you went over that I want us to be clear about. And the next question that came in is perfect for it. So here goes. Looks like this is a wife. What happens to my spouse's benefits when I start getting half on my husband's record? We live in the same house. Doesn't it defeat the purpose if they just take away half from him and give it to me? And that could make for a pretty ornery husband if we did that.
Yes, that is a great question because it, goes back to what I mentioned earlier as far as, Mr. Mueller receiving his $2,000 a month, and then I start to receive half of Mr. Mueller's benefit, which would then be $1,000 a month. He might be pretty upset if his benefit were to be reduced because I'm drawing off of his record. And the good thing about this is that his benefit isn't reduced because I'm drawing benefits off of his record as a spouse. He is going to continue to receive that $2,000 a month, even though I'm drawing half. Because once again, when we work and pay into Social Security, we're not only paying for ourselves, we're paying for our families. So in this situation right here, the spouse's benefit is never reduced because the other spouse is drawing benefits off of their record. And this is a great question. And I hope this answers this for, many of our viewers today that, if your spouse draws off of your record, that's not going to reduce your own benefit, and vice versa. If you are if you're the person that is drawing off of their record, you don't have to worry about it reducing their record. So it's a great question. And I hope that we clarified this for our viewers today.
I like it as we travel through the journey. So far, we've had birth, we've had work, onward to marriage, and a hint of thinking about retirement. But I think that sometimes life's journey takes a detour, and that detour is normally unexpected in the form of disability. If you don't believe me, look at the numbers that we're about to cover on the next slide. Guess what? Social Security, as of September 2020, paid an average monthly disability benefit of $1,126.41. Now, there are 56.7 million people living in the United States. Almost 20% of our population has a disability, and 38.3 million people, 13% of all of us, have what we could call a severe disability. So disability is not that out of reach. And in fact, 1 in 3 people who are of working age will become disabled at some time during their lifetime. But Social Security is here, and we have programs for individuals who become disabled. In fact, 2. One is called disability. It's based on your work and earnings. The other program is called SSI. Now, on some of our other videos, Josephine and I discuss the details of SSI and disability, but know that some people do become disabled when they're in the military. They are wounded warriors, and we take special measures to process and expedite those. So if you want to know a bit more about that and the details of how disability and SSI work, definitely visit us at ssa.gov. Now, when we think of disabled people, and the fact that you pay into disability and it helps your family, you are insuring something. And the fact remains is that if you receive disability based on your work and earnings, you are putting away money for security, not just for your own disability, but perhaps your children or dependents or spouse can also draw a benefit depending upon the situation. Now, there's often confusion about one disability program versus another. Again, we've got videos on CAN TV that tell people all about Social Security disability versus SSI. So check those out. But it looks like there's a frequently asked question here about disability. That strange detour and the journey through life can take us sometimes, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And this is a great question because a lot of people have this question. So I'm so glad that it's in our show today. And I'm going to ask you this question, Mr. Summer, because I know you have a lot of experience with processing disability applications, because both you and I, we started off as claims specialists prior to becoming public affairs specialists. So we saw individuals in the field office and we would take disability applications. So we were the faces you would see when you would walk into your local Social Security field office. And the question goes like this: what happens to my retirement benefits if I get disability? Am I old enough to retire? So isn't it just better to just get my retirement? Do I lose my retirement?
Really good question, really relevant question. And yeah, you're right, Josephine. I've processed and seen thousands, literally thousands of people who filed for disability. And when they are a bit advancing in age, they always ask about retirement. Sometimes people don't want to take disability because they don't want the stigma. And they'll say, I'll just retire, I'm old enough. But there are a number of reasons why disability might be the better choice. For instance, this person says, what happens to my retirement benefits if I get disability? They're old enough to retire, so why don't I just take that? And will I lose it? Well, here's the great thing about the Social Security Administration program of disability and retirement. We look at retirement as one of those things that you have a choice in. And many times that people will decide that they'll retire at the earliest possible age 62. But let's just suppose someone's full retirement age was 66 and that they were going to get $1,000 at age 66, Josephine. Well, we all know that if you take it earlier, such as age 62, that you get a reduced benefit. In other words, you get less money, but over a longer period of time. So it's that trade-off. So if they get $1,000 at age 66, remember, they have to wait to that point, right? Now that person comes into my office and they're disabled and they're 62, and they'll say, I'll just take my retirement. Well, they won't get $1,000 because their benefits are reduced for early retirement. They'd get $750. And a lot of people say, hey, well, wait a minute, that's less money. Well, that same individual, if they applied for disability, I don't care if they're 62 or even younger, would get the $1,000 because it's not a choice. We don't punish people for becoming disabled. So they would get that $1,000 whether they were 62, 50, 25, 30 years old, you name it. So you can see now that you could receive conceivably the benefits as high as if you'd waited till your full retirement age at any age if you are disabled based on your work and earnings record. Furthermore, we all know people have to be 65 to get Medicare, right? Unless they're receiving disability. And in that case, after 24 months, 2 years of receiving disability, they can get Medicare to assist them with their medical needs. But they don't have to be 65. That's the beautiful part about it. They could be 20 or younger or 35, but then they would be eligible because you see, Social Security is a program and a safety net for you. And when you pay those FICA taxes, you pay into disability and retirement. So you losing your retirement? Nah, we're going to pay you the maximum amount anyway and a lot earlier. So this is a great question. And you can see why, if you are disabled, it might be smart to consider disability. And there are individuals who apply for both retirement and disability at the same time. But that's for another show, right, Josephine? Any comments?
Yes, definitely. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, that, if you were to become disabled earlier on, even if it was 62 or even younger, that you would be essentially receiving the full retirement benefit amount, the amount you would receive at your full retirement age. So I know for me, Mr. Summer, I'm going to be full retirement age at age 67. So if I were to become disabled now in my 30s, I could receive the benefit amount that I would have received at age 67 now, because Social Security understands that if you are young and you become disabled, that's not your fault. So you're able to get the full retirement, the full benefit amount that you would have received at full retirement age.
That's right. The same amount of money today that if you waited 30 more years. So there's no advantage in saying, I'll wait till retirement. If you're disabled, Social Security is there for you. And throughout life's journey, also the trials and tribulations, such as accidents, disability, or illness. So from the time that babies get that bottle and you begin contributing to Social Security, we're there for you.
Absolutely. And, I do want to show our viewers here today our website. And I have that up right now. Are you able to see our website, Mr. Summer?
I can see it. It looks great.
Great, because, today we talked about several things. We talked about how Social Security is with you throughout life's journey. We talked about the Social Security card, how to obtain a replacement Social Security card. We talked about retirement benefits. We talked about spousal benefits, disability benefits. We talked about all types of things today. And if you would like more information in regards to what we talked about today, you can visit our website at socialsecurity.gov. Now, make sure when you type in the website, you type .gov at the end, because if you know it's got .gov, that means that it's a legitimate site. It's our site, socialsecurity.gov. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom of our webpage, you're going to notice a section, a little box where it says publications, and you can click on this little box. And when you click on the box that says publications, you're going to see just a list of different publications that Social Security has to offer. So if you type in Social Security card, you're going to be able to find, let's see here, Social Security payments. And they go up here. You're just going to find all kinds of information, and the information can be in several different languages. So you can see to the right, there's a box that says other languages. So if you'd like to read the information in a different language, or even listen to the information in a different language, you can go ahead and click on there. And, audio, you can listen to us audio. So if you don't necessarily have the time to read through the publication, you're able to click on the audio button, and we'll go ahead and we'll read the publication to you. So here we go. Social Security number and card. So there's lots of publications in regards to your Social Security number and your card. So you could read those so that you can be more informed on your Social Security number and card. We also have publications in regards to retirement. So if you go at the very top and you click on, you type in retirement benefits, you'll be able to find information on retirement benefits. I'm going to go ahead and search here. I don't think my search is working very well.
Well, the thing is, I don't think this thing has a spell check on it, so you have to.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So here we have one where it says when to start receiving retirement benefits. So here you have a publication in regards to when to start receiving retirement benefits. And just as there's retirement benefit publication, there's also one here, what you need to know when you get Social Security disability benefits. So pretty much what we wanted to show you here today was that you can get this information online at our website at socialsecurity.gov. But Mr. Summer, can you let our viewers know what else they can do on our website? Do we have online services?
Oh, do we have online services? If you're looking for a Social Security office there's the field office locator. If you're looking for information about frequently asked questions, they are there. If you want to apply for a Social Security card, you can do that on your own. If you like estimates, to make an account, to find out what your children would receive, anything that you have under the sun, we've got something online, whether it's in those publications. And I guarantee you, no matter what part of life's journey you're in, from the beginning all the way through the end, as a survivor, as a retiree, as a disabled person, it's there. It's there. We want you to avail yourself of the incredible amount of information that Social Security has placed online, so it's at your fingertips and for your convenience. We've not only made our website, remember at the beginning, we're on Facebook. Actively, Josephine, people can go there and type in and ask questions and get answers from real live Social Security employees. I've seen people go on different websites and ask a question, and even people who know a little bit about it, and they get it wrong. But the source is Social Security, our Facebook page, ssa.gov, the YouTube videos that we have, Instagram. Social Security is here, on board, online, and with you throughout life's journey. It looks like, Josephine, that we're just about done, and we have to stop the journey here before we get to retirement and survivors and Medicare. But I think that life's journey is not yet complete, so we'll have to do a part 2 to this one. What do you think about next week?
That sounds great. We definitely will have to do a part 2, but we want to make sure we let our viewers know before we leave them here today that we are with you still. Social Security offices are still open. We are still working. Employees are still working. We're working remotely. We're working in a different way, but we are answering our phones, so you can reach us at your local field office. You can go ahead and call your local field office. If you go into the mustard color tab at the top of our website and you go to COVID-19 updates, you're going to see several sections where it's going to say Social Security Office Locator. You can go ahead and click on Social Security Office Locator. Once you click there, you're going to be able to put in your zip code and locate your local office. So I'm going to go ahead and put a zip code in here, 60661, just to show you that you can locate your office and how you can locate your office. So once I put the number, the zip code in there, it's going to pop up with the field office address, the phone number. So you can still get in touch with us. You can call us. We can answer your questions. We can take your applications. If you need to mail information into us in order to process a request, you can mail that information to us because we're still accepting mail. And in some situations that are dire need, we may be able to schedule a face-to-face appointment. But we just want to make sure we let all of our viewers know that we are still with you. We're doing business online and we're doing business over the phone. And please, please, please be aware of the scammers out there. There's people out there calling and they're saying they're Social Security representatives and they're not. The red flag is they're aggressive and they're threatening you. If you receive a call like that, I know Mr. Summer received a call like that today. Somebody called him and threatened him and told him they were going to suspend his Social Security number. He knew that it was not true, so he went ahead and just hung up. Isn't that right, Mr. Summer?
Absolutely right. And Josephine, we're going to have to cover that on a future broadcast again. We've talked about it a little, but we absolutely want to give you the tools so that you can know who's Social Security, who's not, what they're after, and how to avoid becoming a victim. Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
It looks like we're out of time. We're getting
We are. And keep in mind, viewers, that the information you watched today is current as of February 19, 2021. So please, if you're viewing this a year from now, a few months from now, please visit our website, socialsecurity.gov, to make sure that it's still accurate and current information. Thank you for being with us here today throughout life's journey, and we can't wait to see you next week. Take care and have a great, great week, everyone.
Goodbye.